Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's episode of The Fishing Teacher, and really appreciate you guys swinging by the channel to check today's video out. And guys, we have a good video for you today pertinent to the summer bass fishing coming up. We're going to be talking about the old school Balsa squarebill crankbaits and when they outproduce like the newer modern versions of the plastic squarebills that people use today. Most people, in fact, probably 95% of the people that fish squarebill crankbaits today use the plastic versions like the Megabass S-Crank or the Lucky Craft series out there. But these squarebills, these Balsa squarebills, guys, they have a huge following, and there's some situations where they will outperform a newer model, the more high-tech plastic version. So we're going to talk about that in today's video, when you want to use a Balsa crankbait and why you need to have them in your box still today in today's episode. I'm also, guys, before we get started, just wanted to remind you of the Father's Day sale going on my Solar Bat Series RB2 and RB3 series sunglasses. But right now, between now and Father's Day, you can get them at 30% off, and any purchase over $98, you get a free pair of Solar Bat safety glasses with the purchase of my glasses here. So I'll put the link in the description, guys. If you guys would like to order a pair through that link, much appreciated with that. Okay, guys, here's some of the old school Balsa crankbaits. These are the old Bagley Balsa Bs right here. These things are probably over 40 years old. Here's one actually here. This is a custom made one. My buddy Dave Ryan of Dave's Custom Baits makes this one. It's a really, really nice square bill. But the thing that's common is they're wood balsa baits like this, and they're different from the plastic versions. You know, here's a plastic Lucky Craft right here. They look very similar, but the body construction of them and the characteristic of the materials, the balsa versus plastic, makes a huge difference on when and why you want to use each one. Okay, now the first thing, the obvious thing about this, the balsa, is it's a lot more buoyant. You know, wood is more buoyant than plastic. These things float up extremely fast. Some of them, I've even put weight on them like that one there, you know, to slow the rate of the floating, because they just pop up like a cork. But that is the main difference between the Balsa squarebill crankbait and the plastic, is how much higher it floats up. Now, this is the advantage to this. At times, you definitely want this high floater situation here, and that's what I want to talk about, are the times that you want to take advantage and use a Balsa squarebill crankbait over a plastic crankbait. And also, guys, I'll link the Balsa wooden squarebill crankbaits in my Tackle Warehouse link in the description if you guys would like to pick up a couple after this video. So the time that I use a balsa is definitely any time that I'm fishing around shallow stained water wood cover, especially if it's a little bit warmer water. That's the main thing for me, is I want to have a combination of warm water, I want to have stained water, and I want to have wood cover. That's the huge aspect that you have to consider, because here's the deal with it. Number one is that when you're fishing a balsa crankbait around wood, and you deflect off of that wood, as far as, you know, it comes off like that and deflects, you know, that deflection and that slight hesitation, that bait will float up real quick like that, and you can reel it back down. And in that warmer water, that real fast float and the deflection and the up and down will trigger this reaction strike. And this is the thing that really is the biggest benefit of a squarebill crankbait, is its ability to create a reflex strike from deflection. So that high float is real critical. Now, the other aspect with it is when you're fishing wood cover, like stumps and lay down logs and lay down trees, which is my favorite place to fish these things around, any type of timber. If you do get them hung up and you pop your rod like that, they tend to come off a lot easier, because, you know, they just float up easier. So they're easier to fish in heavier cover. You don't get hung up as much. And the main thing beyond those two factors that are really important is just the different sound and vibration. Most wooden crankbaits, there are some, but the vast majority of them are silent. They don't make any noise whatsoever. And a lot of the plastic versions have rattles in them. Now, I have found in most situations, I prefer a silent crankbait, especially when those fish are highly pressured and in warm, shallow water. I don't want any noise on my crankbait. So I use balsa quite a bit when I'm fishing in the summer around wood cover. I don't use these things around rock very much. I have caught them around rock, but I feel that a plastic one like that Megabass S-Crank is a better choice around rock. It floats up a little bit slower. It seems like it deflects off a rock a little bit better. You're not getting hung up on rock like wood, so you don't need that high buoyancy. So there's a time and place for each one of them. But the main thing is like the combination of the water displacement and the vibration and the fact they're silent, the fact they float up high, and they just look a little bit different in the water is what makes them so effective. Also, another thing about a balsa wood crankbait, it tends to have a little bit wider wobble, and that's another big aspect too. One little thing that little tip that I'll give you right here on it is one of the things I like to do with a balsa bait like this is sometimes the eye right there, the eye tie, if you bend that eye tie down a little bit with a pair of pliers, sometimes that will even make it wobble a little bit harder and a little bit wider, which sometimes is very attractive during the summertime of the year. And here's basically my two different colors on a balsa. Balsa, since it is wood, there's no translucent finishes, so either have some type of a shad, a flat finish. Sometimes there's a foil finish, but these are my two: either blackback chartreuse side, some type of a shad pattern. Dirty water, stained water, low light conditions, I'll go with this right here. And any other times, sunny conditions, partly cloudy conditions, I'll go with the shad, sometimes even in the same water clarity. And I usually mix them up. When I'm on a good balsa square bill bite, I'll usually have both colors and just rotate them, sort of give the fish a different look. Most of the time I'm fishing them on heavy line. I usually use 17 to 20 pound test Seaguar and Vizex line, medium action 7-foot bait cast rod. Since I'm fishing shallow cover, I'm not worried about the depth, so I want just the deflection properties. That's why I use the heavier line. But they are worth having in your box, guys. It's like from June, July, August, and September. If you're fishing shallow wood, you got shallow stained water, get you some of these balsa square bills. They definitely still catch fish today. So hope it helps you guys out.